Welcome to the OC Bitches, the podcast where we rewatch the OC as both cast members, but also fans. Each week, we're breaking down an episode, often with the help of former cast members, crew, celeb fans, and other guests who have something to say about the cultural phenomenon that was the OC. Hello!
Hi. Hi, Rachel, Bilson. Sorry guys, if you hear my puppy Lucy in the background, she's probably barking at the mailman. So
it's mail time.
How are you doing today, Rach?
I'm doing good. How about you, Mindy?
I'm great. Last week's episode, we got to talk to Josh Schwartz. That was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got to go over the pilot, reliving our youth, so to speak.
Well,
but today, Mindy,
we are here today with Patrick Rush, who not only cast the OC, but also shows like Party of Five, Supernatural, Everwood, Chuck, and many more. He put together the all-star cast for this show, and he went on to cast 23 more episodes. Did you? Was it 23? And hats off, we think he got it just right. Welcome, Patrick Rush, one of the nicest boys in the biz. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, ladies. Does this make me an honorary OC bitch?
Yeah.
If you'd like, Patrick, you are the OG.
The
OG. Yes, please.
Well, so tell us. I mean, Patrick, I've known you. You've cast me in a number of things, and
yes.
But I noticed on your biography and your resume, you cast The Pretender. I did an episode of The Pretender. Did you cast me? I don't know. I don't remember.
I think I only did season 3 of The Pretender.
Okay.
It was.
You're expected to remember every single episode in person.
But I certainly, our paths had crossed a bunch, so it's possible. I don't remember.
In Everwood, which was right before the OC, and
that's funny. I have a story.
In fact, I think you used the tape from that show so that I could hopefully be Julie Cooper.
That's awesome. I think I went in for
Everwood.
Yeah, I went in for that with you, Patrick, and I think that was right before the OC. And I remember not getting the part, and you cast this actress who looked a lot like me. So that was a tough blow. You know what I mean? Like as an actor, you're like, well, it's not like they wanted something different. They basically cast me, but not me, you know? And but because of that, you brought me in for the OC. So had I gotten Everwood, I would have not have gotten the OC, which is a funny little tidbit.
Also
I think it worked out. It worked out the way it was supposed to.
Well, I'd like to hope so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Chris Pratt was also on Everwood.
Yes, Chris Pratt was on Everwood. He played Emily Van Camp's older, stupid brother named Bright, which was the irony of his character name. Yeah. He was supposed to be her twin brother, but they loved him so much they made them not twins and made him the older brother.
Nice. Getting back to the OC, what did you think when you
Pratt.
first? Who's that? Who's that guy?
I mean, I'm sitting here sweating the mortgage this month. I'm sure Pratt's fine.
Well, so when you first read the script of the OC, what struck you about it, and did you instantly have people in mind? Tell us about your process.
I did love it as soon as I read it, and at that time, and based on my resume, I mean, I had cast a lot of sort of youth shows. I used to call it the pretty crying white kids shows. And and what I loved about the OC was that, and even rewatching the episode, the OC's funny. Mm-hmm. And it's why I thought you two were so great on it, because you were both always such a source of bringing humor.
Right.
To it and making it fun and not just a teen drama. It just didn't feel like another teen drama. It felt more layered. It felt like the characters were more sort of dimensional. And, when I went in to meet on it and I met Josh Schwartz, and he was young. I mean, I think he was 20. He was 26, I think. Yeah. And another one who hasn't aged today. You've all made a deal with the devil. I just remember I And what I love about Josh is he's exactly the same today as he was then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
He just is like a genuinely good human being.
He really is.
So
He's the best.
Yeah. I really wanted to get this job. So I was happy when I did.
You mean
Well,
Josh
we're
was
happy
in
you
his
did.
40s and his 20s? Oh, sorry.
Basically. No. Well,
Clark.
Well, I always wonder,
Clark.
he wrote adults so well. For myself rewatching it, I said this last time that I was a new mommy, barely a mom. I still felt like a kid myself, but rewatching this, I'm looking at the show with completely new eyes. I've dealt with the teen angst, and my daughter's 21 now. So it was actually a little more impactful because I was watching it not for myself, but as a true fan. So
right.
Yeah.
And Josh has always been a little bit of an old soul,
Mhm.
but the thing about the OC was that the adult characters were equally important to the kid characters, and a lot of teen dramas at the time. Dawson's Creek and Party of Five, who had no parents. And, it was, so he was able to sort of bridge both worlds between the adults and the kids and still keep it current and not have it feel shticky,
Right.
And so I think that was sort of the gift of getting good adult actors involved, that they knew they weren't just Dawson's Creek parents,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they were very,
who were lovely people. Nothing wrong with that.
Of course. But yeah, they were such a big part of the story as well, and how they integrated it. I thought, everyone was so layered and had so much to them. And it is definitely a testament to the Schwartz for writing it so well. But the Schwartz. He also, running for president in, I don't know, junior high or elementary. His slogan was, "May the Schwartz be with you." So you knew big things were going to happen for this guy.
My daughter called him Josh Schwartz. Josh Schwartz.
That's right. Schwartz.
That's right.
Josh Schwartz.
But, parents are, obviously they're universal, and it just brings an additional layer. I mean, the Sandy-Seth relationship, I just, for some reason, I start beaming when I see Peter and Brody just exchanging. And it's just, I don't think a relationship had, or at least in my experience, hadn't really been seen before. So that was...
Not to me, yeah.
That was just a great original relationship, I thought.
Yeah, so I think so too. But so Patrick, getting involved, I think it's such an interesting process, and what you do, and maybe a lot of people don't know so much about what goes into making these things and casting these shows, but you have to have the great casting director behind it, which we did, and we're lucky enough to have you. But I think it's kind of an interesting process to talk to you about, and what it was like for you, and what kind of, what went into it, and casting everybody, if you had people in mind, like how that sort of started with Josh once you got the job, kind of what that process looked like.
It's when you read a project like this, obviously the studio and the network want to know who the names are that can play the adults. Who are those names? And, Sandy Cohen was a specific character. He had a backstory and a history. So it wasn't like you could just put everyone on that list. And, as you make those lists and you sort of put the names that are dream names on it that you don't think are going to do it, and then you hear that Peter Gallagher responded to the material and positively, and then you tell the studio network that, and you're so excited, and the network says, well, will he test? So then you have to go back and ask. And you know what? He did. He came in and he charmed that room, and he said, what song and dance do I have to do to get this job? And Gail Berman, who was the head of Fox at the time, said something from Guys and Dolls. And he did it. He did it. Now, how in the world could you say no at that point to him? But then he read a scene, and it was just, I remember Josh saying, I've never had anyone that famous read my words.
Aw, that's
and,
awesome.
those are, I remember that moment as being like, and then once you've got that sort of anchor in place, it sort of helps, and as you're making those lists and making offers and checking avails, you're also auditioning
right
people left and right. And so, in the old days, you used to go to auditions with the producers and the director
Right.
and the writer.
Right.
And
In the old
that's
days.
not how it works anymore. And
No.
I actually really, really miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm sure.
I don't miss, well, obviously testing. Testing was always it could be a pretty nerve-wracking experience when testing for a pilot, essentially, for our listeners it's down to maybe you and maybe 5, maybe it's more. Maybe they test one character multiple times. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you sign a contract and then you audition for the studio, the studio heads and
Right.
Whoever's producing, which would have been Warner Brothers. And then if you pass
Right.
that one, you go on to the network and there could be 30 plus people in the room and you walk in, do your scene and walk out. And it can be a pretty adrenaline producing situation. So
Right.
and I think it also is a testament to those who can get through that with confidence, kind of shows like that's, when you do well and actually get the part,
Right.
that's pretty rare, I feel like, when you've tested. I've tested for a lot of things and it doesn't always work out. But Rachel and I
Right.
were guest stars, so we didn't test.
I love that, like, from Jimmy Get Me a Froyo and Ooh Coop, I Gotta Pee, you guys like turned those lines into careers, and like characters that we could not live without. So, but as the barbaric portion of that I think that actors have to go through is you show up for your studio test
Mhm.
and they hand you, 6 contracts that you have to sign where you're signing the next 7 years of your life away, hopefully. And then I say, "Oh, you've signed, come on in." And you've just, I just think there's a better way to do that. Like, you guys should sign the day before, then you don't have to think about that and you can come in and
as a
do
young
your stuff.
Yeah, as a very young, imagine being a very young actor. It's your first test, and you look
Right.
down, and there's a decent, you're going to get a decent wage,
Right.
and it's like this. You're signing it away, and what happens? And you go in, and I mean, but every experience is a learning experience. Regardless, all you can
Right.
do is do your best, and leave it in the room, and move on with your life.
Right.
So
Well, I also came from that time when primarily Warner Brothers Television was, they were so good to me and I worked a lot for them and I was doing well for them. And so you got to walk into a room with Mary Buck, who was the head of
Yes.
casting, who was lovely, and Peter Roth.
Oh.
I mean, there's no one, an actor-loving studio head, who always made actors feel warm and welcome. So not every place, as you know, is like that. And so that was always get the studio on with the producers team and then head to the network with your choices, and a clear vision. And that's the thing about Josh and Stephanie. They have never said to me, which is my biggest fear, well, we'll know it when it walks in. When I hear creators say that, I think we're never going to get cast. Never. Because they have no
Interesting.
vision.
Right.
But Josh and Stephanie, they have vision boards and pictures of what the people look like, and they know what they want, which is a dream for a casting guy like me.
Sometimes I just don't have the time or energy to cook, especially something healthy. Being a mom, you have a lot of other hats on, so it's hard to find the time, and you always want to be feeding them nutritious food as well as yourself. I mean, honestly, I don't feel great when I end up eating takeout too much.
Oh gosh, me, the same. And, I look at food as medicine, and I think we all know that organic fruits and vegetables, they have the micronutrients that our bodies need, but it still needs to be delicious. I love to cook, but when I'm busy and I need something quick, junk food is definitely not an option for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with that, although it is fun sometimes, but this all changed once I found Daily Harvest.
Yeah, Daily Harvest delivers delicious food all built on organic fruits and vegetables right to your door. It takes literally minutes to prepare, and I never have to think twice if the food I'm eating is good for me.
Daily Harvest is ready when you are. Everything stays fresh in your freezer until you're ready to enjoy it, so you waste less food, which I love. Also, it's so easy. There's shakes. In the morning, you just add coconut water or whatever liquid of your choice, and you're done, which is awesome.
Yeah, no need to overthink any of your meals for the week with Daily Harvest. Smoothies for breakfast, like you said, crisp flatbreads for lunch or dinner, and food that's perfect for cooler weather, like their perfectly roasted harvest bowls and soups. Yum.
Get started today. Go to dailyharvest.com and enter promo code the OC to get $25 off your first box. That's promo code the OC for $25 off your first box at dailyharvest.com. dailyharvest.com.
You know that I eat healthy, right? And I eat keto and low carb, and I get cravings for things, but I'm pretty creative when I have those cravings. I can come up with low carb versions. But you know what I haven't figured out? Cereal, breakfast cereal. I can't figure out how to make it on my own. So this is why I totally, totally love this brand, Magic Spoon. It's like childhood flavors, but for adults. It's low carb, there's no sugar, there's protein, there's fiber. And I've had it 3 mornings in a row, and my husband had it for dinner last night. It's that good.
I love cereal for dinner, so I'm in. I mean, we're all trying to eat better, but healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors you love, like you said, but without all the bad stuff. 0 grams of sugar, I'm a big fan of that. 13 to 14 grams of protein and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving.
It's only 140 calories a serving. Plus, like I said, it's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. Yes.
They have a great variety pack that has 4 flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. I love a frosted cereal, so that's definitely my first choice.
Go to magicspoon.com/theOC to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code, TheOC, at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/theOC and use the code TheOC to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode. For all of the roles, for Ben's role, he wasn't exactly what you were looking for. Summer wasn't described as Rachel. So talk about that a little bit. I mean, it's some of the characters were a little more difficult to cast, correct?
Right. Yeah, Ryan was a really hard role to cast because he sort of had to be everything, the bad boy, but sexy, and also have an edge, but also fit into this world. And that was the role it was probably the last role we got done of the series regulars. And Ben came to me from Warner Brothers. He had tested for another pilot that Dee Dee Bradley was casting, and he wasn't going to get it. And they said, see this kid tomorrow. And I set him up, and he showed up at McGee's office off Sunset. And I remember showing up for the audition, and there was this kid standing outside. And I hadn't met him, and I didn't know him. And as I walked past him, I said, please be that kid. That is Ryan. I just looked like him. I said hello, and he was like, hey, he was not like warm and cuddly, which is what Ryan wasn't. That character wasn't. And he came in, and he was just so prepared, and he so had a choice. And it's also my job to not try to engage in a conversation with an actor who's ready to do the work. Sometimes actors come in like that are friendly and chat a little bit. Yeah, but Ben was one of those people that I could tell he was ready to do what he had prepared. And I just remember like my heart opened when he did it. And then as I'm there reading, I'm hoping the people behind me are feeling it too, because I don't know until the actor walks out. So I just remember turning around and going, did you love him too? And they did, and they did. And, we saw Garrett Hedlund for that part, and we wanted to test him, but he got Troy, the Brad Pitt movie, at the same time that we wanted to test him. And we saw Chris Pine.
Wow, really?
Really?
I love him.
I haven't heard that name tossed around before.
Chris Pine was really, really, really good. But there was, it's painful. At the time, Chris Pine's skin was really bad. And that broke my heart because I was a kid with acne.
Oh, I was too. Still in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I got one. I
still feel
literally
you.
got one for this podcast. I'm like, what? I'm teenage angst?
Yeah, I know. Like, why? Why?
But I
pimples
remember
now?
thinking, like, he was so good. And he was one of those kids who was kicking around at the time auditioning. Justin
Mhm.
Hartley auditioned,
Oh,
There were a lot
yeah.
of good people who auditioned.
So interesting.
But Ben sort of just, it was that, I have a Post-it on my wall at work when I get into a situation like this, and the Post-it says, I just need one. And that's what Ben was. He was that one.
Aw.
And he came because of Warner Brothers and Dee Bradley, who was casting another pilot for them.
See,
And so
that's a
there.
great point. He went out for something else that was technically a rejection, but led to this other thing.
Well,
Right.
It's the same thing with me, how I got
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's just interesting how you look at the track of things and how
Right.
everything works out as it should.
You got to
what I
show
feel.
up. You show up.
Yeah,
and
like
it
who
works
else
out.
could have played Ryan? No, Ben had to play Ryan. He was
Ben,
Ryan.
and even watching that episode again, like, I just thought he was so good. I just thought he was so good and broken in a perfect way,
Mhm.
For that role.
Yeah. No, I agree. Rewatching it, I'm just so blown away by how good everyone is. But yeah, really taken with Ben and
Yes.
Ezra. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
is so good. I mean, I wasn't really in the first two, so I'm not like, patting myself on the back by any means, but everyone else is awesome.
Hold on one sec. Hold on. Oxycontin is gnarly. Come on, Rachel. Genius.
Gold right there.
Rachel,
That's
I wrote
right.
that down too. That was a great
You
moment.
did? Oh my gosh. I want to know the dirt behind all the casting. I want to know the things no one else knows.
You know what I
wanna know.
tell young actors?
Can we do a separate phone call later about that one?
Patrick,
Yes,
you just
please.
said, I just need one. And I tell actors about rejection, they have to say no to everyone but one. So you're
Right.
that's difficult when it's between you and one other person. But but everything always leads to something. Just always go do your best.
Right. And I have to just say before we get into it, like the luck of that I had been casting Everwood for a season or two. So I was current with the good people that were around and coming up. And, like, as you know, that, we tested Olivia Wilde against Mischa for that part.
Right.
I had met Olivia during Everwood. She'd just gotten to town. She was 19. And I thought she was spectacular. Kate Mara, who had been on Everwood, we brought her in.
Oh, wow. Really? For Marissa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Another name I never heard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When we do get together, I'll just bring the pilot notebook and you'll see everyone with every note.
Oh my God. I would love that.
We're bringing you back for another podcast.
Yes.
A very special
Yes,
podcast.
a very special. Exactly. Wow. It's so funny.
I've always said, if I die, burn my notebooks.
Oh my
But you're
gosh.
also responsible. Are you responsible for casting Shailene Woodley? Who's that? No.
Right.
That's true.
It was funny seeing her on that episode again today.
Right?
Like,
so young. I mean, she had to have been what? I don't even know. 12, 11? 11?
Yeah, she was young.
Yeah.
She was young.
And short-lived as well. It was like she was in the first two. How many episodes did she do? I don't even know.
She had some mild success
They phased that phased that character out a bit until later, right?
She went away to boarding school.
She did I think she had like 10 episodes here and there.
Oh,
she would pop in and out.
Oh.
I think so.
I'm catching up still, Patrick. I've never seen the show. I'm still catching up. I don't know what happened. I will eventually. I will get there. But
yes,
the model home.
Yes, the model home.
Episode 2.
Yeah.
All right. So just before, I would say Rachel's best line was Oxycontin is gnarly.
Yeah.
And your best line, Melinda, was China has alopecia.
Yes.
Let's just call it out.
Those are
China has alopecia.
China has alopecia.
We just need to call it
that. Yes. Alopecia? Those have become, there are some cult followings for our characters, and definitely. That one's become kind of an infamous.
The smartest line I've ever delivered is OxyContin is gnarly. I mean, I don't, that's definitely going down.
But the way you hit gnarly, you made it like a 2-syllable word into a 4-syllable word, which isn't easy. It was really well done. It was
talent, Patrick. Talent.
Notre Dame High School.
Thank you very much. And that is what I pulled from my Valley High School friends. Thank you.
Because
for your
we are exactly like our characters. No.
Yes. Yes.
But you know what? I realized we steal from the best. I mean, or we steal from, well, in private, I'll tell you who I stole from to be Julie Cooper. Patrick, you probably know who it is, but that's another conversation.
No, but I really do want to do the follow-up call with you two.
Yes. I know. Everyone listening is going to be like, but I want to be on that call.
Okay, Rachel, why don't you read the synopsis or whatever, our description of what we're going to talk about?
Oh, the description of the model home, season 1, episode 2. When Ryan finds out he is being shipped off to foster care, he tries to run away. Seth and Marissa team up and convince him to hide out in an abandoned model home of Kirsten's. Once again, Luke and Ryan clash, punches are thrown, and the entire plan and house goes up in flames.
Literally.
That is this. Quite literally.
Okay, opening scene. California by Rufus Wainwright plays over the beautiful California landscape, selling the beauty of the California coast. I think they really did that because California really is that beautiful. It was obviously slightly different from the landscape of Chino. So
the Chino does not sell on Fox. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Chino. We love you. We know you have a PF Chang's now. Shoot. Sorry. See, I'm becoming Julie Cooper.
See, okay, I have to behave.
She's taking over. She's taking over.
Oh my gosh, I'm turning beet red. I'm blushing. Anyway, so Seth and Ryan are lounging in the pool. Reminder that this is summer vacation. And then this is the first glimpse we get into Kirsten's stressful job. She's on the phone with her dad. We haven't met him yet, the great Alan Dale.
Right.
Yeah. And we learn that the model home is in trouble. Sandy feels bad about Ryan, but says he feels sad. I feel sad about this kid. But anyway, he says he'll have to go to child services in the morning, and Kirsten is beside herself. What kind of mother abandons her child? But she's made the decision. She can't let Seth get into any more trouble with Ryan around. Sandy says he's going to go into the foster care system, but at his age, it might be impossible. And you can see Kirsten really, fighting of, are they doing the right thing?
Did anyone notice in the pool scene, Benjamin McKenzie's body is on full display and Adam Brody's got his back to the camera the whole time?
Oh my gosh, I love you, Patrick.
That I did. That's hilarious. See, this is the type of stuff we want.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm thinking, so Ben is on full display, kind of in the trunks, wet, spread eagle, neck choker on, giving the body. And I'm thinking, was Adam Brody really hairy? Was he hairy?
No.
I didn't know, did they not want him to look his age? I was just curious.
That's awesome.
I mean, this is, I know I can't, I may know a little, but... But no, Adam in real life was a surfer, very fit, not very hairy. It was probably a camera choice, not a body choice. I will stick up for Brody here.
Yeah. And by the way, is there ever going to be one of the podcasts where we discuss all the romances that were happening?
I love that Patrick just wants to get into it. He's like, fuck the episode. I want behind the scenes, what was going down.
Rachel, you were able to just describe Adam's body. So I thought, when do we talk about that?
Oh, Patrick, you know what? I remember you saying to me, Patrick, oh God, you said something along the lines of, I knew another couple who met on screen and they kissed. The first time they kissed was the last time they kissed somebody else. Something along those lines. Is this triggering anything for you? Because you said this to me about myself and Adam Brody. Now, I don't want to call you out that you were wrong, but It was
okay.
the time.
I was casting a pilot for the WB back in the day before it became the CW, and we chemistry tested this young actress and young actor, and he did in the test at the network kiss her, even though it hadn't been prepared. He wasn't supposed to, and there was this really weird moment at the end of the scene, and he said, I'm so sorry I did that. If I don't get the job, I'll never get a chance to kiss her again. And he got the job, and they've been together ever since.
Well, who are they? You can't tell that story. Tell us.
Kyler Lee, who was on Grey's Anatomy and is on Supergirl, is the girl, and her husband, Nathan.
That's so
They've
sweet.
been together.
So sweet.
Like, they literally been together since that moment. They have 2 or 3 kids.
Oh my
and he
God,
was he was so in love with her. He just thought, I'm going to go for it because I'll probably never see her again if I don't get the job. So, I mean, nowadays you couldn't do that.
I'm so glad that worked out, because sometimes that can be an awkward moment in the room, I would imagine.
Right.
But wait,
right.
I mean,
I think.
Are we allowed to ask, when did you guys start dating?
Adam and I?
Yeah.
I mean, it had to have been during the first season.
Not in this episode. Let's say that. It was probably too
soon. No. It
was a friend. I think as actors, I had an acting teacher who said, no matter what, when you're doing a scene or it's a romantic scene or something, even if you're not attracted to the person, you got to find something about that person or that person that you find attractive, whether it's the hair, or whether you're actually connected or attracted. It's just going to make it a little bit more truthful. So I'm pretty sure there was some attraction there.
Chemistry. Yeah. Well, Patrick, did you do chemistry reads when you were casting the show to make sure there was chemistry between, like, Mischa and Ben, for instance?
They did have to do a chemistry read.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
How'd that go? Did he try to kiss her?
No, he didn't. To my recollection, he did. But it's weird because we ended up in some weird warehouse in North Hollywood. They set up a full-on screen test thing. And, poor Ben had been reading with me forever. Like, he had to read with me at the audition as Marissa, and then at his studio and network test. And I remember at the network, they said, we love him. We want to see him do a chemistry test with Mischa. So,
nice.
And I think, here's the thing, Mischa was 15.
Which is
like,
just
she
so
turned
crazy.
16 during the pilot, or like sometime, I remember.
Yes.
Like, she was young.
She turned, I thought she turned 17, but yeah, no, you're probably right.
No, she was 16 during the pilot for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she got cast and she was 15, and within like the time frame between January and March, she turned 16.
Yeah, I think January. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember that. I remember her having to sort of do the Michelin so that she didn't look tall. So she didn't look taller.
Oh, that's true. She's pretty tall.
Yeah.
She's very tall.
Right, but and I have to tell you, she did it effortlessly without being told. When we did a slate with them at the end, she kind of leaned in and put her head on his shoulder. It was very lovely of her to do. No one asked her to do it. And I remember watching and going, she knows that somebody might say they're the same height or she's a little taller. But when she slated, they were very adorable together. And
so she was already cast, you're saying, and he was in for the chemistry read, or the opposite? Yeah. Okay.
She had been cast. She and Peter Gallagher were the first 2 people cast.
Got it.
And she was already a seasoned actor at that point, so she had some technical skills as an actor.
Okie doke. Okie doke.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't agree.
She had been working since she was a kid. Yeah.
She was a kid.
That's
yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Josh and Stephanie, and people loved her. And at the end of the day, she was perfect.
Right.
She was perfect as Marissa. She was really
absolutely
the right choice. And don't forget, at the time, on the cover of every magazine with all the commercials and Neutrogena ads, I mean, she was an it girl.
Definitely.
For sure. Oh, she was the OC, like her face, like the whole thing. And yes, beautiful and all of the above.
I've always sort of thought, like, Mischa was kind of, and this is a reference that will age me and date me, and you won't get it, Rachel.
Hey.
She was kind of, Melinda, you might not get it. She was kind of like Ally McGraw at the
I know.
time. Like
Yeah.
Ally McGraw
Hello.
was, but like Ally McGraw
Give
in
me
Love
some
Story.
credit here, Patrick. Love Story.
But Ally McGraw in Love Story, I was a
Right.
kid when Love Story, but
I know, but I still know it.
she was that beautiful,
With Ryan O'Neal.
perfect, yeah. So, and she was like that perfect girl at
Wholesome
that time.
beauty.
Right.
Correct.
She's that. She
Right.
was the Neutrogena beauty of that time.
Correct.
Right.
Hey, okay, so next scene, which I just think it's a cute, quick little scene, and it's classic Seth, where Seth and Ryan are back still in the pool. No, wait. Yeah, they want to celebrate their last night together. And of course, Seth says, like, get some tattoos or hookers or lose our virginity. Like, every line out of his mouth is witty, sarcastic, or is it serious?
Right. And mumbled.
And mumbled.
Really?
Brody was a mumbler.
He was so quick and facile with the material, and everything was so funny and thrown away that you could miss it if you weren't paying attention. Like, he was just
Right.
really quick with the dialogue.
Very,
And-
very quick with the dialogue.
That's why I
and
watch
quick with the
everything with
ideas.
subtitles.
Yeah. Quick with the ideas, giving Ryan the idea to not have to leave and stay in the model home of Kirsten's that has been abandoned in this episode.
Yes.
He's also a quick thinker,
Yeah.
Yes.
which launches us into what happens next.
What happens next? I think, well, Ryan, really quickly, I wanted to point this out, that he shows interest in the actual model home and Kirsten's business, and it kind of foreshadows what's going to happen kind of at the end of the end of this entire show. But it kind of endears Ryan to Kirsten a little bit more. She's definitely thinking, this kid's smart. But then they go on to the quote, Last Supper. And I just love, and I'm going to repeat this throughout all of our podcasts, Rachel, the Seth and Sandy relationship where they tease Kirsten.
Good.
Yeah, it's so funny the way they tease her about not being able to cook.
It's very sweet and endearing, for sure.
And Ryan probably has never seen a family scene like this. It's everything is so brand new.
Everything's so new to him. Yeah, he does, and
he was great at being a fish out of water and sort of we got to see through his eyes how out of place he felt without any dialogue, which is a testament, I think, to how great he was in that role.
Absolutely. And Josh, has said that we're seeing everything basically as Ryan, or especially in the pilot and whatever. So I just think that's a testament to the writing and the acting and just how you really are with him and feeling it with him and seeing it with him, which is just so cool. And I think which was a big draw to the show as well for audience members, because I'm watching it now as an audience member and I'm like, oh my God, like fully in it and feeling it with Ryan and as Ryan seeing this, even like Summer and her fabulous lines that, oh man.
So Ryan has to sign the paperwork sending him to the social worker the next morning, but in the middle of the night, Ryan doesn't go to sleep, but instead he tries to run away and Seth intercepts him, catches him in the act and wants to come with him. So Seth then decides he's got a better idea.
He does have a better
Seth
idea.
Desperately trying to be cool.
Right.
He is trying.
Yeah,
he's cool.
Is.
He was cool.
But he was cool because he wasn't cool.
Right. He was an outsider, but yes.
Right.
Very cool outsider.
I think more girls fell in love with Seth than Ryan.
Really? Is that a fact?
I do.
We should take a poll.
I think it was like...
No, yeah. He was...
On Dawson's Creek, girls were supposed to fall in love with Dawson, and they fell in love with Pacey. And I think a little bit of the same thing happened on the OC, that girls were in love with Seth.
Well, and in this episode, I think Seth thinks he's cool, and that he thinks that I'm the coolest kid. I'm the only one in this town like this. But as this episode goes on, he's going to have to, his reality is going to have a new little tweak to it when he gets into it with Marissa. But Sandy wants to talk to Seth about Ryan in Seth's room, and he pretends that he's asleep, and it's another great father moment. He's like, "Don't be sarcastic." I'm not. Well, it's so hard to tell when, yeah. Then Ryan and Marissa meet again at the end of the driveway. She thanks him for the other night, and he asks, "Do you always drink like that?" She doesn't respond, but that's clearly a trigger for him, right? And his home life,
right? Or for him?
Well, he says,
or for her?
And he's asking probably like, "Do you always drink like that?" Because of his home life,
Right. But I feel like it's a trigger for Marissa when she's like, oh,
right.
shit.
And for
like,
both of them,
they're
that like,
I do that. Right. So that's like another moment for them to come together and realize that they have a lot of similarities.
Right. And also if she's similar to his mother, he's going to continually be rescuing her from these situations.
Right.
And
triggering, yeah, of course, it's his mom. Yes. Right. I was wrong. You were right.
No.
I love a rescue project. That's been my whole adult life.
Yes.
Oh man. Abort. As far as I'm concerned.
Right, can we talk one thing about Adam being cool?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Please.
Do you know that when he came into audition to pre-read for me before going to producers, I set him up to read for Seth, and he came in and he was going to read for Ryan.
He decided
he wanted to read for Ryan.
You mean his choice was like, no, I'm not going to read that. I'm going to read this.
Yes. And I remember sitting in my office going, wait, you're what? He's like, well, I read both and I really want to audition for Ryan. And I said, okay, go ahead. And he did. And he was done. And I'm like, really great. Would you come back and read for Seth tomorrow? He came in. He decided he wanted to be Ryan.
Well, that shows you the confidence there.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes a confident person. Absolutely.
Yes.
Way, you know what? No, I like this one.
Right. And by the way, had he been pompous or a douche about it, I would have been like, fuck you. No.
Right.
Bye. Thanks. But there was something about, and he was so good. I mean, you couldn't deny that he's a good actor.
He's very good.
I knew that the network was never going, in the studio, weren't going to hire Adam to be the bad boy from Chino.
Right.
Well, Mindy has said she thought Adam was the bad boy from Chino. Mindy, when she first saw them on set.
That's because when I met Ryan, the story of I'm only on this show because Patrick, I was involved in another show. I told you this, but they were going to, Patrick wanted me for the role and they weren't going to let me out of my pilot, the waiting period. I'd already tested for this other pilot. And I remember talking, I can't remember, but they said they're going to give it to somebody else if you can't get out of it. And we just begged the other producers. And literally, I think at the last minute, you held them off, I believe, from what I remember. Yeah. So I was able to...
I also remember seeing you at Hugo's restaurant while we were in that waiting. Like, we were both ended up having dinner at Hugo's. And I was like, please tell them to let you go.
Right, we had to do that.
Yeah.
But so I came in late, and that's following up that my first day, I said this on the last one with Josh, that it was the party scene, but I met Ben quietly in the van in a tuxedo, and he looked like a quiet, Seth character. And Brody was a little more, gregarious or something. And I just instantly thought the roles were reversed. So, but I think that
it's one of my
that's a testament to you as being one of the nicest casting directors on the planet. I will always say that. And in that he says, I would really like to do this. And you and said, okay, go ahead. I mean, sometimes as an actor, it's like, if somebody says, I really, really want to try this for you, that's actually a great attitude. I don't think that it can always work out for actors to do that, but I think that's a great story.
I'm happy to be wrong. That's the thing. I've been wrong a lot in my career. So who am I to not be on the actor's side? You guys are the ones that make me look good. So I think some casting people forget that if people don't love the actors, they don't love the person doing the job as the casting director. So I've always wanted to be that guy with actors. You guys have kept me employed.
Well, you've kept me employed.
You certainly kept me employed. You made me employed, I should say.
No, I have a job that I get to play a small part in people's dreams coming true. I mean, how
It's a
cool is
huge
that
part.
for a job?
Huge.
Yeah.
It's
I think
huge.
we all play a small part when you think about every single job between crew, production, writers, everything. Somehow, all of these pieces come together and make this machine run. I'm reminded of Charlie Chaplin for some reason, but when everyone does their job, you get this magic on the screen, and here we are 18 years later talking about it and having a blast.
Right.
You know?
Crazy.
Right.
That's
18
crazy.
years later, here we are.
It's literally a lifetime ago for you,
I
Rachel.
know. She's
Right?
got a 6-year-old daughter.
1,000%. Yeah, I have a 6-year-old daughter.
Yeah, but I mean, you were 18 or 19, right?
I was
At the
21
time?
shooting the pilot, which is
Okay.
still close. I mean, very young.
Right.
Different
Yeah.
person, completely different life. That's why going back and
Right.
watching has had oh my gosh, like just such an emotional reaction to seeing like, it's a different lifetime and it's crazy. And I was
Right.
so young and everything that's transpired since then, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I have to say, going back and watching it again today, first of all, it doesn't feel dated.
No, it doesn't.
In some weird, it doesn't feel dated, and I was really proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I have the
thought,
same reaction.
This is a really, really good show. I remember
Yeah.
thinking that at the time of watching it, but
Mhm.
having revisited it, like, oh wow, I'm really proud of. It's like it's something to be proud of.
Article combines the curation of a boutique furniture store with the comfort and simplicity of shopping online.
Check out one of Article's newest outdoor looks, Garden Terrace. This hand-picked series features laid-back, elegant designs for outdoor lounging, dining, and more. Lunch in the garden? Yes, please.
I think this is really your style, Rachel. I love the outdoor stuff. It's gorgeous.
You know what's so funny is I am an avid Article shopper myself, and currently the desk that I am doing the podcast from and on is from Article.
It's so beautiful and stylish, and I've been looking for a new sofa, and I've got my eye on the Sven Cascadia blue sofa. Haven't done a blue sofa before. Stylish and affordable. There's also the Timpari Charme Tan Ottoman that looks gorgeous. There's so many choices. I can't make up my mind.
Yeah.
I just like looking at the website.
Oh, it's so fun. I do it daily. And yeah, my next accent chair for my living room is definitely going to be from Article. Article's team of designers focuses on beautifully crafted pieces, quality materials, and durable construction.
They offer fast, affordable shipping available across the USA and Canada, and is free on orders over $9.99.
Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Go to article.com/OC and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/OC to get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
So, Rachel, I'm thinking I'm going to take a break from cooking tonight because I want to. And you know what? I'm going to order in. So, hello, Grubhub.
I'm a big fan. Definitely take advantage with Grubhub perks and get deals on all the foods you love. They have perks on pizza, tacos, sushi, and more, providing a variety of options for all the picky eaters in your house, which, having a 6-year-old, it's all about picky eating. She is a big fan when we use Grubhub, and I can get her favorite local pizza. It's a big plus in our house.
And Grubhub has so many of your local favorites on it. And I'm sure we've all done some delivery this last year. And, it feels good to support the restaurant industry at the same time. You know how I don't like to venture out in traffic, so let Grubhub do it. I love to get my favorite baked crab roll from the sushi place. And I also have a favorite Vietnamese food delivery on Sundays. I get my favorite pho. But, it's really a no-brainer.
Yeah, Grubhub also lets you order ahead and pick up your favorite food from your favorite restaurants. It really is great supporting all of our restaurants, like you said, after this year. And it's just such a great way to go about it.
Get the food you love with perks from Grubhub. Grub what you love. I would really love to talk about these next because I think this is a really interesting, being the second episode after the pilot, this is where we start to really see the personalities of
right?
of Ryan and Marissa and Seth, because
and their relationships forming. They really start to form in this episode.
Right. So instead of Marissa going to Summer's birthday, she gives them a ride to the secret place that Seth is taking them to, and then as they're driving, this is a pretty iconic scene where they start talking about music, and Marissa's into punk, and Seth realizes she's into the same music. Now, is this the conversation that apparently really happened between Adam and Mischa, and Josh overheard it?
Well, I think I have to ask Josh, but I know that has been said, and I could see that happening because I know Mischa actually did listen to like Sex Pistols and like all that stuff, and I think I do believe that is true. There was like an epiphany, and Brody was like, "Holy shit, like, Mischa listens to like the same music I do." Like, what? You know, it's a pivotal, for sure, pivotal scene to see. Like, there's similarities in so many ways that you would never ever know from the outside and what it looks like, especially in high school,
right?
In Newport Beach.
And probably closer to their real personalities in real life at that point.
Yeah.
It sets up the scene nicely when that comes shortly after that, when Marissa and Seth are in the house.
Yeah.
And they're saying like, well, I've lived next door to you. You've never said hi. And they sort of, it sets that up nicely because that scene feels more real.
Totally. She's like, well, you never said hi.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right.
And also, I have to say, there is really nice chemistry between Ben and Mischa in the pool scene when Adam is skateboarding in the pool. And they have a really lovely moment that I didn't remember. It was where it snapped for me.
Right. It's a very vulnerable scene. First of all, I want to say it's a classic California scene where they're eating the original fast food, In-N-Out, and skateboarding in an empty
had
pool.
A moment.
But the scene, they realize that they have even though they're from different worlds, they have similar problems possibly, and they might be more alike than they thought.
Totally.
And then they have this little secret and this bonding moment together. And that kind of
she
sets
opens
the
up
tone.
to him.
Yeah.
Right.
That's,
she hasn't told
really
anyone.
Wonderful. Right.
But it's like when you meet people like that and you feel like you can just open up to them and there's just like this unspoken connection. And it was like, and they did that so well because you really felt that, in that scene, in that moment in particular.
It's also a compliment to Josh's writing that they didn't try to jam all of that into the pilot. And that, like you said, it feels like a continuation of the pilot episode too.
Yes.
It does.
Josh said the first 3 episodes are really the pilot.
Yeah.
Right.
That becomes, I never knew that, but today that became clearer to me.
Yeah.
Watching.
Yeah.
And then Seth and Marissa start going at it with this, what you were talking about, that you think you're so much better. No, you're the one who thinks he's so much better. And he says, oh, well, Luke, because that guy shaves his chest. But, everybody manscapes now, right? But my comment was, wow, this is how teenagers talk to each other. And all of our actors, it seemed even more comfortable on screen, like they'd been hanging out together. And it felt like, I felt like I was watching Adam, Mischa, and Ben, in that scene, which is actually really great for our show to be, rooted in some real relation, and that's what we do. We bond with our castmates, and then we get to take that kind of energy onto set. And although I was curious, I was like, is that a real pool? But in the background, I saw a skateboard ramp that would come and go in the editing.
Oh, really?
I think
I didn't see that.
I saw some wood
continuity.
in the
I didn't. But yeah, we really did all hang out, which is funny, like a lot.
Did anybody else pick up a little like Luke was in love with Ryan vibe today, or is that just an old tag like me? Just like I'm trying to make up like hotel porn.
We need to do this.
Like he shaved his chest. We see redeeming moments.
I want to watch the show you're watching.
I think Patrick needs to join our podcast every week.
Cut me.
No, we need you, Patrick.
I think Luke was in love with Ryan. I stand by it.
Right. Yes.
I mean, he carried him out of the fire like a fireman.
He did. He did carry him out. You know what? He could have left him. And the way he carried him, I will agree.
And then picks him up hitchhiking.
Oh my God. This is all the subplot.
I see where you're going.
Back at the Cohen house, I was like, the cops are there. And I'm like, who called the cops? That's not a Sandy move. What the H? And right. So Marissa and Seth scheme to go back to Ryan, and Julie is entertaining Luke for breakfast. Boy, Julie just seems to love Luke.
Whore. It's my spirit
She's a
animal.
whore.
Julie,
What's
I
going to
wanted
happen?
to be you for Halloween. I wanted to be Julie Cooper for Halloween.
You should.
I've heard of people being that.
It's the ultimate
I
compliment.
heard.
Okay.
It is, for sure.
Oh my gosh. And then Marissa,
Well, you
she
just
makes
love Luke.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Marissa makes an excuse not to hang with Luke.
Mhm.
And then I had to say this. For some reason, I wrote, Ben has guns, pull-ups. Like, that was a quick shot of him. So
Oh, yeah,
I
he's
noticed,
doing pull-ups
Patrick.
on the scaffolding,
Yeah.
right? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Right? Did you pause on that?
There might have been a rewind. There might have been a rewind.
I actually did too. No.
No, I have to go back and see.
So then Seth does more Seth blabbing to the cops and more sarcasm and jokes, and that he's going to Mexico for cockfights. And I was like, did Josh really? Because it's just immediate in the second episode. He started tailoring for probably Adam's talents and what he thought very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then here we go. Julie asking Jimmy for more money for the pony, China.
Yeah.
And he says we should get rid of the pony. And Caitlin's like, but I love China. She's the prettiest pony. And then Julie doesn't want to listen. You know, nobody's dying of cancer. Fix it.
And then Marissa and Seth, they bring Ryan supplies and a mixed CD because CDs were still very popular then.
Yeah. That was a little dated. That was a little
Right.
dated when I watched that today.
Yeah,
Flip
but
phones.
I actually recently got my daughter a Walkman with cassettes because I'm like, no, this cannot die. You have to know what it was like. Anyway, and she's into it, but that's a side note. But in the episode, they realize they forgot food, so the three of them head out to eat at the pier. Very risky. What happens at the pier?
Montage.
Yep.
Pier montage.
Montage. Cue montage. I remember
Right.
that so vividly too, just seeing them and like Mischa riding on the pegs of the bike and like the whole thing. And it's just very, I feel like it's an iconic little montage. If I
Yeah.
do say so
Yeah.
myself.
It was beautiful. It was, in a weird way, really beautiful. Not a
What?
weird way.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful.
And we were.
And they looked like they were having fun because they were, it was like the same thing. Like they were actually having fun together,
Right.
like just riding around on this pier, and that was all real.
And it's probably
Right.
a first, when you think about it, probably a first. This is a first for Ryan. This is clearly a first for Seth. He has, he hasn't hung out like this. He's got a brother.
Mhm.
He's experiencing life in a totally different way now. And Marissa's been with Luke since 5th grade. So it's all very brand new. Also, it was shot on the Redondo Pier.
That's right. The Redondo Pier. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we got a lot of flack from people, especially in Orange County. Why aren't you shooting in Newport? And my response to people, obviously we have to shoot within, because of union rules, within the radius. And Redondo is still Los Angeles. But I always would tell them at our the Raleigh studios in Manhattan Beach, well, next door to us is CSI Miami and Boston Legal. We're a little closer than those shows.
At
so
least we're in the
Right.
same vicinity.
it's okay. But yeah.
I was going to say, it just reminded me when we would have casting sessions in Manhattan Beach and my office was in Toluca Lake. It was like that Saturday Night Live skit of the Californians, because I would have to take the 134 to the 5
to the 110
to the
totally.
405.
Oh my God. It was 5 freeways there and back. And we had one session on a Friday at 3:00. And every actor was late. And I said to them, we have 10:30 sessions from now on in the morning. You
can't. No, anytime.
That Friday afternoon to Manhattan Beach, it was,
Oh my gosh.
it was the original Californians.
That reminds me of I signed up, or I said yes to the publicity people. They wanted me, or I thought everybody was writing a blog, and I only did it a few times. And all I did was talk about the traffic from Sherman Oaks. Today the traffic was, and when I was late, I would take pictures with my flip phone or whatever phone I had to say, this is what I'm in right now, just so you know I'm not, because I was always worried about being late. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
it was a trek.
So we go back to the Cooper house, and my question was answered. Kirsten called the cops. Of course, it wasn't Sandy.
Narc.
He's
She
like,
was a
oh, I
narc.
wish you hadn't called the cops because, But then she has this iconic, she says, what is it about this kid? And
right.
he says, I was this kid because he's, defended a lot of these kids. So,
Right.
mhm. And then we have this kind of famous scene here where Jimmy's calling Kirsten and for a favor and lunch, and then Julie comes in with the famous China has alopecia. We need to call the vet. And the reaction is this: what? And she's like, like this is the most important thing in the world right now. And
the only
I just
thing in
love,
the world. Yep.
I love Jimmy's response. Her take was so great.
And what horse has alopecia is what I want to know. I guess it happens. But in the episode, we move along to the three musketeers eat breakfast. Then they realize Seth and Marissa both love on the road. Another similarity between Seth and Marissa. Hello. Are you sure they weren't supposed to be the love interests? Just kidding. This is where we first see the iconic diner that we then later built on set. But it was, I still feel like people go and take pictures in this diner and stuff. Like I've seen it a couple times maybe on Instagram or something.
You can still,
but that's the first time we see it, which is kind of neat. And it was on the Redondo here.
I'm sure when
and that was really the play that you were. That was really the location, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was really the location. So that's kind of neat. But then Luke and the friends show up, and things go awry, don't they?
Yes. Well,
Seth
Luke is jealous because he's in love with Ryan. I'm just going to stick with that.
After the fight, another fight with Ryan and Luke, that then I just, for some reason, I get all excited when I see these and these scenes where Seth is blocking the door. They're trying to get out, and he comes away going, "That was awesome!" Yeah. And this kid just living life for the first time, and something he's always fantasized about with Kerouac or whatever. He's been living in books, and now he's living it. So I thought that was and I just want to give a shout out to Chris Carmack because he does play. He's the sweetest guy in real life, and he just plays that bully so well.
So well.
That line that Josh wrote too, when Ryan's got the hoodie on and it's over his head, and he's like, "What's up, 8 Mile?"
Yeah,
and knocks Ryan. Like Carmack delivers it, and it's funny.
Right.
So I give Carmack props that, like, just those little moments that are so easy to miss and forget, that are so just well done.
But in any case, Sandy makes Seth come with him to look for Ryan. But then we get into, we're back at Holly's again at the party, and this is important to mention. What does Summer say? What's up with that Ryan kid? He's probably on Oxycontin.
Oxycontin is gnarly. It's gnarly. Not Oxycontin.
Thank you.
But you do it with such gnarly.
Oxycontin is gnarly. I don't even know. I have to watch it again.
OC.
It is so OC. No, I know. I'd like to say, even though I wasn't in it that much, that I left a mark.
Yep, you did.
Proud of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oxycontin is gnarly. I'm like trying to do it now. I'm trying to remember. I'll be in my mirror later saying this to myself.
It will be concerning if anyone walks in and catches you saying that in a mirror out of context.
Oxycontin is gnarly. Oxycontin is gnarly. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Wait, we have to talk about Hallelujah by Jeff Buckley plays in this episode. And that is another big music moment.
It's a montage after Ryan says, go away, leave.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it breaks your heart, doesn't it? Like that
it does.
moment. But he loves her. You can tell he loves her. And then that music plays and it's just like, oh my God. It's like this whole thing.
And she loves him.
She does love him. She's like, yeah. I'm with it. I mean, from the get-go, I'm like, oh no, that was love at first sight. I'm fully on board. Okay.
Me too. I was sort of guilty of that with Ben myself.
So was Luke. I'm just kidding.
I've been having Ben dreams lately.
What?
No,
Okay,
I
let's get
literally
into
have
that,
OC
too.
dreams now because we're doing this. But Luke followed Marissa and sees her leave, and then sees Ryan. As Kirsten transfers the money, Sandy and Seth are still looking for Ryan, and Marissa's crying in the car, and we cut to commercial. Then when we come back, Luke and his posse shows up, and they get into a fight. The candles start a fire, and they attack Ryan. The house goes up in flames, and Luke drags Ryan out of the house and drives off, and the house comes crumbling down.
Right. But it does show that Luke does have a heart as well.
Mhm.
Like we keep seeing it come through these characters, and that's a moment where it's like, you know what? He's not a bad guy. He's
not one-dimensional.
Nope.
No, he's not. Exactly.
It was really smart.
Yes.
Really smart to show that.
Yeah. And yes.
Although I do have to say the only nice scene between Julie and Jimmy, probably for a long time, where they're reminiscing about basketball, but I had to comment that I'm all like one color: brown skin, brown hair, brown lips. So hopefully the makeup would get
Hold on. Chunky highlights. Don't forget you had chunky highlights. And you entered the scene wedding ring first. You come into the scene behind the couch and put your hands on him, and it's just your wedding ring.
God,
your gigantic Julie Cooper.
Wow.
Honey, invite a gay guy to the party. He notices shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, you came in wedding ring diamond first.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that says who Julie is as well. I think it really does. Like, Julie Cooper was going to move on up to the OC.
Yeah.
And she got herself a husband and a ring and a horse named China.
No, there was one more great scene where this is what I was talking about when Sandy is furious at Seth and says, "What were you thinking?" And Seth goes, "You forced me to live amongst these pod people, and he's the first cool guy I get, and you're kicking him out." And this look over Sandy's just like, what respect he has for his son to go, "Oh my God, I didn't even think of it that way." And he sits down and he's like, "God, I'm trying to do the best I can." They both are. And they're over it. And there's that mutual understanding of, we really like this kid and hope it works out. So I thought that was another great dad-father scene. So then now
they're a great father-son combo. I agree.
Yeah.
It's a really great relationship.
Yeah. So we're at the end, and the police are questioning the boys, or Seth, when Luke and Ryan pull up. Ryan apologizes, gets handcuffed, and Luke chimes in that it was an accident, admits he was there, and gets handcuffed, and they go off. Sandy tells them to keep quiet. And that's the end of the episode. But on a side note, real quick, I have to say this. Mischa wears Uggs in this scene, which is the first time I think we saw Uggs. And it's so California for surfers and the skiers, especially.
What, you have that written down?
It's on a Post-it. Do you know what it says? I blame Mischa. Well, I blame her for the Uggs. She was way before the Kardashians. I blame Mischa, Stephanie Savage for the Uggs.
Well, and I said,
so
she really did sort of. That was the first time.
Yeah,
like I think Uggs exploded from that.
Yeah, I think they did. I think even sales went up. I mean, we all wore Uggs. I had them offset, and I've said this. I don't think I've said this here, but Adam drew on my Uggs, and to this day I have them somewhere. And he drew himself and Ben, and he drew Peter. But for Peter, he just drew eyebrows on my Uggs.
That's awesome.
And I still have them.
When I first saw the scene when that episode first aired and I saw her standing in the Uggs, I thought to myself, did they forget to tell her when she came out of the trailer?
Possibly.
That she was still in Uggs? Because, that's what everybody on night shoots was wearing to keep their feet warm. And I thought, they totally forgot to tell her she was in those Uggs. I just feel like, having worked for Josh Schwartz a lot of times, which is a dream, seriously, I'm not just kissing ass, I feel like I have to cast Josh in almost every project. And I didn't know that at the time, that Josh was Seth. And then when I did Chuck, Josh was Chuck. like the cute computer nerd guy that all the girls loved. And then on Marvel's Runaways, Josh was magically transported into an African-American character, but he was the cute computer nerd that was funny and smart and likable. And I just feel like every time I work for Josh, it's like, which version of you are we casting now?
That's great.
Because
what's left?
I know, right? And then here's my favorite story. One morning, just before the pilot aired or whatever, Sam Rubin on KTLA was reviewing the OC. And he said that he liked it. But his one complaint was that the mother of Marissa's character was way too young to be her mother. And the actress playing Marissa was way too old. I went and sent an email to Sam Rubin going, Mischa Barton was 16. I think Melinda's like 35. She could have had her at 19. You need to apologize. And also, once we had cast Mischa, who was 15 or 16, but looked older, we had to cast boys that were older. You couldn't put a real 18-year-old next to Mischa. She didn't look 15, 16. She was sort of so beautiful and otherworldly. So Sam Rubin actually went and apologized the next day.
Did he really?
About saying that you were too young and Mischa was too old. Because I was pissed. I'm like, don't trash this show. Good for you. She's actually the one person who is the right age.
That's interesting.
She really was. Like, if you were 21 and the boys were 22, 23. Yeah.
I was watching Will and Grace the other night, and Sean Hayes had a scene about, he's like, oh my gosh, that was such a scene from the OC where the teenagers are 25 and the parents are 35. Because that was on at the same time. But I was 33 when we did the pilot, 34. But I always played a little older. But I could have been, I would have been a very young mom in real life, but I was, we were definitely playing
I remember Kelly commenting on that, like during the show. She's like, I could date like my son, like the age difference wasn't that
I think big. Ben and I are about 10, what are you trying to say? 10 years apart.
Yeah. No,
Kelly Rowan's really good in this show.
She's fantastic.
Even rewatching it, she's really good.
Oh. So
she doesn't jump through hoops but Kirsten could have been unlikable. And I think that she really did the trick of making her sympathetic.
You're so right.
Because she's really protecting her son. She was really trying to protect her son.
I understand her point of view as a mother.
Yeah. I thought she was really good.
We have a few quiz questions for you, though, Patrick. You don't have Post-its. You don't have notes for those, do you?
No, I don't know what you're going to have. Go.
Okay.
Shoot.
What is Ryan's dad in jail for? I couldn't answer this. I mean, I can now because I'm reading the answer, but I couldn't because I didn't have it in front of me.
He says it in this episode. Armed robbery?
Yes.
Yeah.
He said it in that episode.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Who played Ryan's dad?
Kevin Sorbo.
Do we ever see him? Oh, we do? Oh, right.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Later.
Wait,
isn't it Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Wait. Oh my gosh.
What?
I want to ask this question because when I was doing my research, it said something about
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
But
when do we see his dad?
It says that Peter visits him in jail, and I was like, what character did he play? But then later when Julie gets together with his dad, it's played by Kevin Sorbo.
Ugh, how gross. And leave that in. Sorbo, that fucking weirdo. I regret that one. Right. But who does Jeffrey Dean Morgan play? I thought
that's my
Jeffrey
question too.
Okay, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character was somehow tied into Kim Delaney's character.
What storyline is this? I'm so confused because
I don't know.
I read it.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan did like 1 or 2 episodes, I think.
He's a client of Sandy's, and I don't remember it at all.
Oh, I wish he had played Ryan's dad.
Me too.
But that's when Jeffrey Dean Morgan was that go-to guy. He was a dad on Dawson's Creek. He was a dad on. He was the dad in the pilot of Supernatural. I mean, he was that go-to guy who would do. When you had to hire someone for top of show, and they'd come in and audition.
Yeah.
And he was that guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
I thought he was Ryan's dad.
I've been watching the episodes, still haven't seen him. I just saw it online that he was on it, so I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to ask the next question, Mint?
Maybe Patrick knows this one because he notices the details. What item did Marissa not bring to the model home? Kiehl's cucumber moisturizer, a loofah, a moisturizing face mask, or toilet paper?
So easy, the face mask.
You got it right.
You know what? Oh, of course. First of all, you got to ask straight guys that question. They'll be like,
Right.
A queen's going to notice the fucking Kiehl's cucumber, the loofah, and the toilet
That's
paper.
awesome.
I love that toilet paper moment because it's so real and they're like, oh, we didn't think of that. Like, that's
Right.
actually, thank you. Now I can go take a poop. Like, it's just
And
very real.
And props to the prop guy for the really beat up roll of toilet paper. It wasn't like
Right.
fresh
Was
out of the thing.
it?
It
Oh,
was
God.
really, yeah.
That's
It
the
was
one
a
that's
Been in
piece
like
of
a
cake.
linty bag all day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's been in the center console of the car.
Yeah. That
Okay.
was so good. Do we want to ask? Okay, are you up for another one?
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, you're 2 for 2 at this point.
Cheers.
How
I
much
know.
does
Uh-oh.
Jimmy need, Patrick? How much does Jimmy need? How much money?
It's a good question. And I was paying attention because I wondered, like, with inflation, was he going to say $1,500,000? He needed $100K. He needed $100,000.
Yes.
I
Did you
somehow I paid attention.
Oh, I
Yeah, it
thought you
was
said
100K.
no. Mindy, I thought you said no.
I was
like,
like,
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh. No, yeah.
No.
I didn't even know there was going to be a test, but I love that I was paying attention.
By the way, you passed with flying colors.
We couldn't finish. I would love to know, because I had the honor of being a part of it, your charity for Best in Drag Show, your fundraiser. Is that still continuing, or is that something you want to talk about?
It is.
Yeah.
It is still going.
Yay.
That's so awesome.
It's weird. You know, it started out 30 years ago
Mhm.
in my friend Alexis's apartment as a joke. One night, 6 guys dressed in drag to watch the Miss America pageant in a rent control apartment. And
Mhm.
from that became that event that you guys have been to. Thank you. And
Mhm.
it was weird. This year, because of the pandemic, we were like, well, what are we going to do?
Right.
We can't go to the Orpheum Theater and seat 1,800 people. So we rented the Orpheum Theater on Saturday and filmed the show and then showed it at the Rose Bowl Drive-In Sunday night. And
This-
it was sold out.
Just recently?
Yeah, in October.
Oh,
Wait
We
a
had
minute.
like
I
500
live right there. I didn't know.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
Well,
That's so awesome.
I'm
That's so
awesome.
cool.
I mean, it was crazy that, so basically everybody watched on the show what we had filmed on Saturday, and they edited overnight to, condense it down. And then, we announced the winner live Sunday night at the Rose Bowl because we had judges in the front row in their cars at the drive-in. And so we are still doing it.
That's
Thank
great.
you for
Right.
asking.
That
It's
is
really,
So anybody listening, if you want to Google Best in Show, it's a drag beauty pageant with a lot of humor, and Kathy Griffin hosts usually. Is she still doing? And
Yes.
it's absolutely one of the best evenings of the year.
Mhm.
I've got to be a judge
Thank
a
you.
couple times, but it's just entirely just full of joy in life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Bestindragshow.org is the
Okay.
website, and it benefits the Alliance for Housing and Healing and Aid for AIDS, which helps homeless people with HIV get housing and medication and things that they need. And it is not RuPaul quality drag queens.
No.
It's guys who shouldn't be in drag,
Yeah.
basically.
And
Which-
they have
It's
to
way-
they have to create their own characters and a whole life, and it's just
Right.
so unique, and it's such a special evening every year.
Incredible.
So
A
Thank
really
you.
Thank
And thank you
incredible-
both
Yeah.
for being involved in it.
Yeah.
And thank you
of
for asking
course,
about it.
always. Yes.
well,
Patrick, thank you for
this has been
coming
a
on and
blast.
talking to us. Yes. And bringing up the
does it
things
have to
people
be-
really want to know. That was awesome. Yep. You know what you're doing. Yep.
And you being a little bit, but perfectly evasive
Yes,
about your answers,
I've
about the romance
learned.
on
I'm
scene.
I'm trained.
On set. I like it.
I gotta
I'm
say,
trained
Well
well.
I gotta say, would you come back for other episodes to help us out, because we just love having you.
Yeah, you're so,
I'm usually
so
never
much fun.
invited anywhere twice, so I'd be thrilled. I would be thrilled to come back.
Aw, we
Plus, I don't
love
want to wait
you.
18. I don't want to wait 18 more years to see you guys.
Yeah.
I know.
Please.
We love you so much, Patrick, and just
Love
thank
You
you.
guys
I'm
are
gonna,
so
you know,
awesome.
Thank you so much. This was a
You
blast.
are.
Thank you for having me.
So next we are going to take some fan questions, listen to some lovely voicemails you guys have been leaving for us. Here we go.
What aspects of your character's personality would you have liked to have explored in more depth, and which, in your opinion, did not emerge?
Whew, that's a real
I think
tough question.
What's interesting is, I mentioned that Julie Cooper has a huge arc. And if we think about how she started, which was very superficial, her priorities were money, fashion, status in the court, money. Maybe her daughter's down here somewhere. And by the end of the season, she has, had to take everything that life's thrown at her. And she starts doing things for herself. And so I don't think we could have explored. And she's lived in a trailer, and she's had money, she's not had money. She's had to, try not to live in such a self-centered world and think about everyone else around her. I don't think we could have explored any more with her and the death of her daughter. I mean, I don't think that there was anything left unturned when it came to Julie.
Right. It's interesting because, Summer also had quite an arc, and we definitely explored many aspects. And Josh Schwartz, really liked to put a lot of myself and all of us into our characters. So, and the death of her best friend, and she even gets married at the end. So I really feel like we kind of summed it all up quite nicely and really did get to explore a lot. There's not any thing that comes to mind that I feel like we missed out on.
We had the characters obviously are different characters, but they had similar events happen to them, and they reacted, Summer and Julie actually came together in the season 4 because of the death of Marissa. It was just so sad. Okay.
I know.
Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
So that wraps up episode 2, The Model Home, with our dear, dear man, Patrick Rush. What fun was that? We have to have him back.
So much fun. Yeah, I hope he comes back very soon. I just want his commentary on everything in life. Like as I'm walking, I want him commenting as I'm doing anything.
Well, and I think that's what's wonderful about the podcast. We're going to have different guests who had a completely different experience than us, because it would get really boring if it just came from Mindy, because all I would talk about is traffic. Getting to work.
Yeah, it was super fun to have Patrick. Looking forward to our next guest and going over the next episode. It's just so much fun doing this with you, Mindy. I can't wait to do it again. And I hope you guys all tune in for the next one.
Thanks for joining us today. We would love it if you could follow, rate, and review Welcome to the OC Bitches wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you like to watch us, check us out on YouTube.